Welcome back to Yottalk Podcast, your go-to podcast for gaming insights, tech news, and deep dives into the digital world.
And today, we're diving into something pretty big.
Yeah, a topic loads of you are excited about, and honestly, so are we. The Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater Remake.
We've got a stack of analysis, articles, some notes you provided, and basically we're going to sift through all that for you. Think of us as your guides here.
Exactly. Our mission, really, is to unpack the key details from these sources.
That's right.
Try to understand why there's so much hype.
Which there definitely is.
Right. And look at what it means to bring such a classic game into the modern era. We'll pull up the most important stuff for you.
Okay, so to really get this remake, you kind of have to start with the original. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It came out, 2004, PlayStation 2. And the sources, they all pretty much agree. It was seen as this instant phenomenon, often called the best in the whole series.
And the analysis we looked at really spells out why. It wasn't just, another game. It had that incredibly deep story, Cold War setting, intense stealth, obviously.
Signature Metal Gear.
But it also had this real emotional weight. It's something the sources stress that really stuck with people.
And it gave us the origin story for Big Boss. Super important character. The notes emphasize how crucial that was for, everything that came after in the Metal Gear universe.
Yeah, foundational stuff.
Yeah.
But beyond the story, the gameplay itself had these unique things the notes point out, like the survival element.
Oh, yeah, where you actually had to hunt, catch food, handle injuries.
Right, like catching snakes and birds. It sounds kind of wild now, maybe, but it was so immersive.
It really was. And the boss fights. They weren't just shootouts. Think about the end, that sniper battle, or the boss herself. They felt more like puzzles or these elaborate set pieces.
Totally. And don't forget the camo system. Constantly fiddling with your camo index, hiding against trees.
Pressing up against walls, yeah.
It might sound a bit fiddly to players today, but back then, revolutionary. It was so core to the stealth. The sources call it an experience, not just a game.
That phrase, an experience, I think that nails it. It was this unique mix of mechanics and story.
So that brings us to now. Konami's bringing it back. The official title is confirmed in the sources as Metal Gear Solid E. Snake Eater, that Delta symbol. Interesting.
Yeah, Snake Eater. And the big news, thing everyone's talking about, is it's being rebuilt using Unreal Engine 5.
Which isn't just a touch-up. That means, a complete visual overhaul from the ground up.
Exactly. Characters, environments, lighting effects, everything gets the current-gen treatment. A massive leap from the original PS2 look.
Okay, so let's dig into the specifics. Based on the sources, what do we actually know for sure about this remake right now?
Well, we have a release date confirmed in the analysis, August 28th, 2025.
August 28th, 2025.
Okay. And platforms are PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and Windows PC, so pretty much everywhere current gen.
Gotcha. Date, platforms, check. But what about the core of it? The story, the voice acting, that's where remakes sometimes get tricky.
Right, and this is where Konami's made a really interesting call, according to the sources. They're saying the story will be faithful, and this is the big one, the voice acting too. They're using the original voice line.
Wait, the original recordings from 2004 with David Hayter and everyone.
That's what the sources confirm, yeah. The original audio tracks.
Wow. Okay, that's a statement, isn't it? It tells you they're prioritizing preservation of that original feel, at least in terms of performance, less of a reinterpretation.
Exactly. It suggests they see those performances as sacred text almost, part of that experience. But while the story and voices are preserved, the gameplay is where the modernization really kicks in, thanks to Unreal Engine 5.
Okay, so enhanced visuals.
Yeah.
Obviously, UE5 brings that.
Yeah.
But the sources also mention things like smoother movement, more intuitive controls, making the environments feel more alive.
Yeah, more immersive. The goal, piecing it together from the notes, seems to be keeping the heart of the original, the design, the narrative, but making it more accessible. Easier to pick up and play for people used to modern games.
So, trying to thread that needle, huh? Yeah. Keep the old fans happy, but also bring in new players who might bounce off a 20-year-old control scheme.
Pretty much. And the sources do highlight some specific gameplay improvements.
Like what?
A big one is the camera. The original PS2 camera could be a bit rigid sometimes, fixed angles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember that. Could be frustrating.
Right. The analysis says the remake will have a more modern, free camera, better situational awareness, basically.
Okay, that alone could make a huge difference to how the stealth plays.
Absolutely. The sources also mention things you'd expect, like updated enemy AI.
Hopefully smarter enemies.
We'll see. Enhanced lighting, which is huge for a jungle stealth game, and more environmental interactivity, making the world react more.
So it sounds like they're polishing the edges, fixing things that feel dated, rather than a fundamental gameplay overhaul.
That seems to be the approach, yeah. Polishing, not rebuilding the core mechanics entirely.
Which brings us to the excitement factor. Why are people so hyped for this, based on what you've read?
Well, for the longtime fans, the notes basically say it's a dream come true. Simple as that. A chance to play Snake Eater, this game they adore, but looking like it was made today.
Reliving those big moments.
Exactly. Seeing those iconic, emotional scenes, the sources specifically call out the final confrontation with the boss.
Oh, man, yeah.
That incredibly tense, patient sniper fight with the end.
That took ages.
It did. Or even just the basic struggle of survival in the jungle, seeing all that rendered with modern tech, that's a massive draw for veterans.
Okay, makes sense. What about for people who've never played it?
For them, the sources suggest this is basically the perfect way in. Snake Eater is often called the best starting point for the series anyway because it's the origin story.
Right, chronologically first.
Yeah. So this remake lets them experience that amazing story and world, but without having to, wrestle with the 20-year-old game's quirks. They get the 2025 presentation.
So it has both audiences. Nostalgia for the fans, modern entry point for newcomers. That's the sweet spot they're aiming for.
That balance seems to be key to the whole project based on the analysis. That mix of nostalgia and innovation.
But with any remake, especially of something this beloved, there have got to be worries, right? What concerns are mentioned in the sources?
Yeah, definitely. The big ones are kind of what you'd expect. Will Konami handle this legacy properly?
Yeah.
Will they treat it with respect? And the elephant in the room, Hideo Kojima isn't involved.
Right, the original creator.
Exactly. So there's that question. Can a new team capture that unique Kojima magic, his specific vision? It's a valid concern the sources raise.
Very valid. His style is so distinct. But the sources also suggest there are signs Konami is trying to be respectful. Yeah.
Yes. Based on what's been shown trailers, environment shots, it looks like they're being really meticulous about recreating the look and feel of the original location.
Visually faithful, then.
Seems like it. And like we talked about, that decision to use the original voice audio, that's probably the strongest signal they're sending. It says, we get what made this special. They want to honor the masterpiece, as the sources call it.
Okay, so using the original voices is like an anchor to the original spirit, even with the new visuals and gameplay tweaks.
That seems to be the thinking, yeah. It's a clear message.
So if they pull this off, what's the potential impact here, according to the materials?
Potentially huge. The analysis suggests it could reintroduce one of gaming's most, powerful and unique stories to a whole new generation. People who missed it the first time around get access.
Opens it up completely.
Right. And for the fans who've been waiting, it gives them that modern version they've dreamed of, a chance to reconnect with that world, that story, maybe even more intensely with the new visuals.
It could really cement Snake Eater's legacy for the current gaming era.
It absolutely could. Taking that specific blend, the deep stealth, the wild story, those unique bosses, and bringing it forward with Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, it's a big deal.
So, wrapping up this deep dive based on the sources, it leaves you with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? When you take a classic, an experience like Snake Eater, and you rebuild it with new tech, a new team, keeping the old voices but tweaking the gameplay, can you really recreate that original magic? Or does it just become something new? Something carrying the legacy, sure, but distinct.
Yeah, that's the core question, isn't it? Is it preservation or is it transformation? Something to think about.
Definitely something to chew on. That's it for today's episode of Yottalk. Are you excited about the remake? Did you play the original Snake Eater back in the day? Or will this be your first time stepping into the boots of Naked Snake? Let us know in the comments or reach out on social media.